Welcome back, United fans. My name is Chris Walker, and this is the State of United, a post-match edition of the State of United, live streamed, a podcast on the Seek and Strike Network dedicated to covering New Mexico United. Joining me tonight is my co-host, Patrick Baca. How you doing, Patrick?
Good. How are you?
Oh, good. Good. Just getting home from the watch party and was eager to get online and chat with you about the what we saw tonight against United against Orange County. Pat, we'll talk through what we saw in this match, and let's kick it off like we normally do, and let's just go with a one-liner for your initial reaction.
Yay, 3 points. It's a really hard. It's like yay, like more like a sarcastic yay, I guess. Like not sarcastic that we won, but like 3 points that we definitely needed. Multi-goal game that we definitely needed, but we'll get into that, I guess.
Mine was all hands on deck.
True.
It seemed like it took Orange County's hands too to help us get a win, and that's kind of what my one-liner is tonight, and of course we will get more into that. Well, Pat, let's go ahead and kick this one off, and what we will do is just kind of talk through what we saw. We can spend some time on themes or moments in the game that come to mind, and of course, if we do have any listeners in the show at any point, if you'd like to come on to the show and talk about or give your reaction to the game or talk about, things you think that went well or didn't go well, we certainly will invite you into the show. We'll send a link somewhere down into the, as we get further into like this discussion. So let's go ahead and kick that off, Pat. So initially, I think we probably want to talk about the lineup going into this one. Were you kind of expecting this lineup centered around Thomas Among, or did you have other thoughts about what United would put out as a starting 11? Yeah,
no, I think we were kind of in agreement that Among was going to be the one that started out. The other one, maybe that kind of stuck out to me that didn't start was probably Mackenzie Gaines. I thought he might have gotten some minutes. Oh, well, he'll get minutes later on, but I thought he would have been introduced into that starting lineup. But Kali Fernando Among up top and then holding down the midfield. Seemed like a different 3 midfield setup. I don't know if you felt the same way.
Having Jabong on the top and having
a little bit higher, and then having Zico and Zalalem a little bit lower.
I think that what made that interesting to me is Jabong is very good. Obviously, pass wise, he can kind of do a little bit of everything. So maybe they put him there as a way to kind of be a bridge between the midfielders as well as the top. Maybe they just had kind of seen having him deeper in the bottom of it all, like that things would typically kind of die in between the back line and the midfield. So maybe they just wanted to kind of try to set their chances up better.
Yeah, that one that's probably the only thing that really stood out to me. I wouldn't not like it. I thought it was a good kind of came out a little shaky, if you will, but other than that, I thought lineup wise was something that we were probably going to get used to. Lindsay getting some minutes in there, so
I thought, and we chatted about this on our preview, but I thought that we might have saw Hurst. I guess I don't know why I thought that maybe because we saw him on the lineup roster for El Paso. I thought maybe he was nearing to come back, but of course, sources out there are kind of saying that Hurst is out for like a good 5 or 6 weeks, and along with some other players. So then I started thinking like, well, okay, so we're not going to see him. Obviously, Thomas Among, makes sense but I did think that Mackenzie Gaines would be in the top 3. I mean, that's kind of what I was projecting as a lineup. And I mean, why would you not kind of do that? Because he finished off the last match finding the banger, and while all hope seemed lost, it was him that was able to kind of pull some cohesion. Everyone was trying to get him the ball, right? So I guess I don't understand the stop-start kind of vibe that kind of gives off. It's like this guy kind of saved what was he and you know, we were losing, but he pretty much brought some sort of invigoration or hope to the last match. Why do you not have him in there immediately right away?
Yeah. No, and I think that was kind of the interesting standpoint. That's why I thought I thought he was going to probably be in there. But I don't know who you'd probably put him in for. Would you let him play up top with Akale and Fernando? Because I think Fernando's been playing probably some of the best outside of some of the names that we talked about in the preview. I was glad that Jabang getting his minutes back in there. I still think that he's probably one of our better players on the field, but I think Fernando definitely deserves himself a nod and bring in some of that little flair. Obviously, today had a little bit of more fun out there. You obviously get to have a little bit more fun when you're winning, but yeah, no, that one might have stood out to me, and probably giving Pandeka a little bit more time. I didn't think Zalalem was going to get the start, but he gets the nod. So,
yeah, I mean, like I said, that was my thing about the top. Is I did think Gaines in there, but maybe this was the better look. I mean, Akali obviously as Sherlock, he typically is going to be, you know, creating the chances, feeding the balls in. So I'm fine with that. You know, and of course Fernando, you know, could be a threat, you know, at some point coming off the wing, and then Among. You know, I didn't really I don't think I really saw anything additional or extra out of Thomas Among tonight, honestly. Like, I mean, you know, he is a bigger body up front, but you know, you know, he didn't necessarily stand out to me. If anything, I mean, I was a little concerned when he, you know, went up for a duel and came down pretty hard on his backside.
yeah.
You know, I was like, hey, we don't need you going out now too, because you know, like we not necessarily got some extra toys in the shop, you know. So I don't know. He didn't really. I thought it could have been Bruce or Gaines there, but it didn't really kind of stand out to me too much. Going to the next set, Jabong, Zalalem, and Bailey. I think that's what I thought it was going to be. Honestly, like, you know, Pondeka obviously has come on a few times, but he's just been so. You know, he hasn't had the best luck, right, with just different injuries and things like that, and you know, which is crazy because when he first came on and for the season, we saw kind of the handles he exhibited, and we thought like, oh, hey, this guy's going to be really good in midfield, right? But it really typically has been these three, and you know, we were talking on the preview, Pat, like Zalalem hadn't necessarily really stood out to us for some reason. I don't know if he's playing mind tricks on me or how he's blending in so well, but this kind of seems like your safe three. The back line, of course, having Gloucester, Ryden, Maples, and Lindsay for a bit, that's about exactly what I thought it would be. And you know, and I mean, did you like that back line? Was that what you thought it was going to be, or did you think it might be a little different?
Well, I thought that was probably what we were going to get. Maybe Will Seymour probably gets in there, but I thought Gloucester definitely getting the start. Maples obviously has been our key. Lindsay was probably the one that stood out the most as like an outlier. I don't want to like say that that's not who I was expecting in, but kind of how you were saying that's our safe three. in the midfield, kind of what it was look like. Maples right in the back is what I figured. Gloucester, Seymour kind of seemed to be flipping between the two of them.
Right.
I thought maybe you swap Gloucester to the other side, to the right, and you let Seymour play the left. But either way, perfectly fine with the way that it looked. I made a comment to you earlier when we were watching the game that or it was yesterday, was about our new signing coming on, bringing on a left back. And my comment to you was, I don't know why we're bringing on a left back. We need to score goals.
Right.
And I made a comment to you today about 15 minutes into the game saying, never mind, I figured out why. Because holy moly, we still don't look comfortable playing the ball in the back at all. It feels like I'm watching the Sacramento game. And that was my comment, because you were like, wait, save it for later. And so that was my comment was, no, I think I figured out why. And oh my God, we cannot play out of the back to save our lives.
Yeah, it wasn't good. I do want to touch bases on their lineup really quick.
Sure.
And then we'll jump right back into our stuff. But much through the preview we talked, I think also anytime that I watch independently, I was concerned, or I did highlight rather, Bryce Jamison and Liam McKinnon as players to look out for. Obviously, Cameron Dunbar as well. I think that they kind of came as delivered a little bit. Their lineup, they had Liam McKinnon up front, and obviously he did play quite the villain in the night for sure. And but Bryce Jamison didn't make the start. I was kind of surprised that they didn't have him starting, and I don't know if maybe that was like an insurance policy type of thing, or if they just thought they were set up better without him on there. But to me, it's like you've been doing so well kind of with Jamison and McKinnon in the matches. I don't know why you changed it for us by any means, Yeah. Obviously things fall into that, like practice, but go ahead.
Yeah. I was going to say the other one that we highlighted was Zubak, I believe, also being, and he started out on the bench as well.
Right. They had Tristan Traeger in there, which was kind of a surprise to me because, he had come off the bench, I think, in the Tulsa match. And, so he had kind of been a little late to the party. But, they presented, obviously a good lineup. And I guess we could just kind of get into, I think the first thing I would want to address is, you already said it. So playing out of the back, right? So let's just start there. Shakes challenged earlier on in the match. He has a bad clearance, which, and then which turns into basically a giveaway right there within, or I guess right outside the 18 for Orange County. They take a shot, doesn't obviously go in, but, right off the bat, I was like, this is like not the thing you need to be doing, Shakes. Like that is just a clear way to kind of give the game. I didn't have any sort of thought about Shakes and if how his start was going to go, but he started to show early on not making good decisions with the ball, and I thought, that was going to lead to some trouble. What did you think about that?
Yeah, it just felt like that whole back line just in general didn't feel comfortable, and that was the comment that I made, right? And that was that first incident, 11th, 12th minute or whatever it was, getting the shot off. Shakes made up for it, got himself the save, right? But that wasn't like the only instance from the night. I think that was his first one of maybe four on Shakes alone, right? On Shakes alone. And I think one thing that you highlighted during the preview was how much are they going to play like they play with Tambakis, in the sense that they're going to let Shakes play with his feet a little bit and kind of get into the movement of the ball. And it seemed like they just next man up, which is good, right? That's a good mentality. You don't want to essentially switch up the way that you are designing yourself to play because X player is not available.
Right.
For a dumb red card. I didn't even mention that during the preview. Not a red card in my opinion, but yeah, so that's probably the positive that you get out of playing with Shakes and letting him kind of move the ball. We know that we signed a keeper on loan, meeting us here at Orange County. We know we're sticking around the California area and putting him in. We brought that up in the preview too. And yeah, without a lack of a better term, it was really shaky in the back. Like and it wasn't just Shakes like that. Like let's not just call out Shakes on it too. Ryden also doesn't feel like he's comfortable playing the ball around in some of those tight areas. Gloucester got caught up a few times. Lindsay got caught up a lot. Talon Maples seems like he's trying to direct traffic, but the man can't play FIFA. He can't have a controller and press the buttons the way that it wants to go, right? And so it just wasn't clean, and I don't think it will get clean for a while, because I think we kind of brushed on this in our little bit of our hiatus when we were talking about some of the games that we kind of glossed over real quick, and it was the defensive side seems shaky. We're not scoring goals, so what are we going to do to kind of correct that? And so I don't know if you want to go in. Do you think that we corrected some of those wrongs that we talked about in the preview?
Well, I mean, the watchability of the match was that I didn't feel like I was doing this, like shaking my head or like, I definitely was like reacting to it. And I felt like, we still turned the ball over at choice times. We didn't really get to play too much into like any sort of counters because we would shore the ball up a little bit and wait for more guys to come down. And I think that guys just got to keep up with the Akalis or the Baileys. But I didn't think that we gave it away nearly as much, and maybe it would have been the exclamation point if scores were created off of it. But the fact that there were so many chances, like the first half, like I noticed like they had was it 6 shots, they had 4 on target, and of course those are all like pretty much generated errors. I mean, if this were baseball, like Shakes' ERA is like pretty bad right now. You know what I'm saying, as far as just because of the fact that between him either giving something away or like Talon Maples passing across the lip, and then there's that, or the instances where Shakes is like playing sweeper keeper and he's like out there on like the far channel, and so then we're left with players in the box, which to me like is like kind of dicey to be doing when like teams could have turned that around and just started pressing and then made some bad decisions happen. So like really those shots on target are generated shots on target. They could say well, hey, look, yeah, they had 4 shots on target, but that was us. We gave those to them. So if we didn't give those to them, then we had a perfect game. And it's like, yeah, that's hindsight 2020. But also, we did not look good. I mean, the first half, we had 1 shot on goal. I didn't even get into the passes. I'm sure you might have been kind of looking at that, because I know you've been talking about like passing and pass accuracy much lately. So I'm sure you kind of got an idea of like whether or not we were like above or below what we typically do. But that's what I've noticed is like, well, we created a lot of that ball for them, and then on the other end we didn't really have a lot of opportunities, and so we go majority of this one 0-0, right? But there's a point in is it the first half or the second? Let me see. Where's that at? There's a point in the first half. I guess it's like in the 28th minute where we're going in. I think Gloucester's going in on the left channel up the box, and he shoots the ball or maybe passes. I'm not sure exactly what was going on, but essentially the ball goes off of the arm of the Orange County player. Did you see that as a justified handball at that time? I mean, not being biased or anything.
Oh yeah. And I think that was even one of the commentators had pointed out. Gosser gets onto the outside. It's a nice little chip across. And the biggest like argument and the thing that you always tell your players is to keep your like arms into the shape of your body, because that is something that you want to avoid, right? And that's definitely arms definitely extended really high, comes off his elbow, 100% a penalty, and quality penalty taken by Talon Maples, by the way. Definitely gets the keeper's like cement feet is what we kind of look at it. Just gets stuck in the ground and doesn't really move. And so yeah, justifiable penalty. The second one, we'll get into that into the second half later. But
I mean, I'm fine with it. If there are other things you want to chat about, I mean,
well, I was gonna comment like that first half was just unfortunately ugly in the sense that like when we looked at the preview, one of the things that I said is it's all fine and dandy if we complete 80% of our passes, right? In the first half, we completed 87% of our passes.
Right.
That's all fine and dandy, but we had 4 shots on target, if that. What was the first half?
First half was like one shot on target, but like 5 shots. But we saw the shots, like they weren't
anything, right?
They weren't
and
anything.
It seemed like we were taking that extra pass, because I know I saw it more than a handful of times where it was maybe Fernando doesn't need to pass the ball to Akale and just take a shot. And there's a few times that he does. He gets some bad angles. Same thing with Akale. Maybe he shouldn't make that extra pass. Maybe he should be shooting. And your counter argument to that was maybe we don't want Akale being the one that has to score the goals for us to get started, right? Because Akale is our shifty player, the one that makes the magic happen. And so we would love for him to get into those spaces. But and that's kind of what happens in that second penalty. I believe it was the same player, if I'm not mistaken.
He was like laying on the ground, right?
Yeah, it was hard to see, but I think it was the same one from the first half, and I can't remember off the top of my head, but I'm looking at the highlights and the stats. It's difficult because of the way that the camera pans, and so either way, Talon Maple sinks another one. I have a question for you in that instance, because I was thinking about this earlier.
Okay.
For that second penalty, do you like seeing Maples take it, or would you prefer one of our forwards taking it?
2 thoughts. One, I am fine with him taking it because he's consistent. He's taking it, and that's great. But the other thought is maybe give your forwards a little confidence and let them take that kick, because maybe they, shooters want to shoot, right? So maybe, that right there is like just one more thing to kind of help them, to get back on the shooting tip. But my practical answer probably is, well, if it's not broke, why fix it?
Right. Yeah, that's kind of where I was at. Was Talon Maples has probably been our most consistent penalty taker. I'm glad that he gets 2 goals. I'm not going to ever take that away from him. But I think the reason I brought it up is because we look at things that happened to Among, right? Not even 10 minutes later, he gets the most beautiful pass I think I've ever seen to split 2 center defenders. And in stride, he gets a good look, opens up his hips, and just hits the keeper right in the chest. And so in that instance, one thing that we talked about in the preview was Amon kind of has to show up, right? There's nobody else to score. You even brought it up earlier in the show saying you can't go get hurt, right? Like we ain't got anybody. You ain't got anybody else to go out there and score goals. Like we have Brucey, but are we going to rely on Brucey to score the goals that we need? And the whole reason we brought Thomas Among over is to be that guy to score goals, and he's looked lackluster as of late. And so in that instance, I'm thinking maybe I'm probably giving that to Among. In hindsight, right? You brought it up to hindsight 2020. Maybe I'm giving that to Among and saying, "Hey, get on the score sheet," because if those rumors are true that we're going to be missing out from Greg Hurst for about 3 or 4 weeks or longer,
Right.
that's something we brought up in the preview too. Is that's our leading goal scorer, and he's not on the field.
Yeah, I
He's our
mean,
leading goal scorer,
yeah.
and he's been 4 games removed now.
Yep.
And I think that's the unacceptable part, is that your leading scorer is still a leading scorer 4 games removed, going on 5,
Right.
and we still can't find the back of the our forwards and our can't find the back of the net. Fernando gets lucky tonight. Beautiful little cheeky finish. I love that one. But not to his own accord. He's just smart, playing in the right spot, reading a bad pass and going on for it.
Yeah,
But
it was cool for Fernando to get that third goal. Simple back heel, right, more or less, and nice little throw in there. I before that goal scores, I'm saying, okay, we're gonna win this goal with 2 penalties. If these penalties didn't exist, it's still 0-0, and Orange County is still threatening. We're not really threatening. Like, Pat, we've talked about this. I don't want to win like this. I have a sharp bone of contention that's like, here we are, just kind of getting lucky again, squeaking through matches, and the biggest thing is like, this isn't always going to carry us, right? I mean, I watched some commentary where the USL show was interviewing Orange County head coach Danny Stone, and they asked him about the matchup with United, and he was like, yeah, their quality, they're strong. He's like, they always kind of find a way to score that goal, and we got to figure out a way for them to not score that goal. And I thought, well, hey, like, the way that we scored that goal is by your players giving us that opportunity, so I guess that's the way we found it, right? But Orange County really kind of hadn't been, I don't think they had been that sloppy that way. Maybe, they're obviously sitting about 8 in the table, but the last couple of matches I watched, I don't think I saw those opportunities coming across for other teams,
yeah, there was some instance where I didn't think that that Orange County in general was all that threatening, and we do find the ways to score goals, and
Yeah.
that's probably the positive part to United. But again, the issue goes down to, you're right. If we win this game, and that's why my one-liner was like, "Yay, 3 points!" Like,
maybe that's
like,
maybe that's the title of the show. I don't know.
Well, like, we're not gonna knock winning, right? Like, we're not gonna sit here and be like, we don't want those 3 points. We're at the top of the table now after
Yeah,
that blowout. But I agree with
yeah.
you in the sense that we're gonna win off of penalties. Like, that isn't gonna carry us through, and I think that's why the sarcastic yay is there, because it starts to feel like towards the end of, or the middle back end of the season last year, where we're like, okay, we're going to scrounge for points where we need to scrounge for points, but we need to find some kind of flame to get us going forward. And yeah, 1-0 wins are great, and this is a multi-goal. I think the way that I looked at it is, you looked at it two penalties, and I looked at it as, yeah, we have a multi-goal game,
right,
all off the mistakes of Orange County. Like,
see, if it feels like when you're playing air hockey with your friend and they like kind of take a couple in their own, and you're like, cool, like, so you kind of get that added boost. It's definitely not any own goal situations, but I mean, man, like, you're pretty much giving up 2 penalties like that, and the same guy's taking it, you're not going to be able to stop him. So those are 2 points, or those are 2 goals that I'm sure Orange County wished that they obviously hadn't given away, because they probably thought before that they were doing well. Like, they had us kind of in a place where they wanted us. And but like, let's also kind of look a little bit into the second half stats, because they certainly were a little different than the first half for us. I mean, we still kept the same amount of possession with 55%, but when it came to total shots, we were at 9, and shots on goal, we were at 6, big chances 3. So those are the numbers from what you remember. I mean, like, what were those moments? I mean, obviously, I think you said Thomas Lamong putting it right there on the chest, but like, did we look in your eyes like the aggressor in the second half according to these numbers, or were they really just instances where where there's a huge margin of error on Orange County's part?
I think that was at that point in the second half. We're looking at 1-0 already up. United's probably, in my mind, I'm probably thinking 1-0 is. I don't know about you. In the second half, I went 1-0 is probably where this game is going to sit, and both me and you were going to walk away with that extra point, and we're going to win this game off the penalty, right? At that point, it was us looking at the pick'em standings more than the actual points walking away, and so
right.
and so you probably want to sit there and say that we were a little bit more threatening, but it didn't ever feel like we were threatening enough to maybe put one more. The other one, I think it's a Kale that gets through on a counter attack, right? And it's in those instances that I'm talking about that we want to score goals, or that you're probably talking about, is that we want to be able to score those kind of goals. Goals are goals, obviously, at the end of the day, but you want those ones because those ones are the ones that show your testament to like what's going on, and not a trailing hand that just happens to be sticking out, or blind spot pass and it getting taken away. The three big chances that I can think of, it was probably Among. It was probably Akale, and then the last one, I want to say it came from a set piece that we had a little bit of an opportunity, and there was a save that was touched wide, right?
Right.
The other chance that I could think of in the first that was good for Among is the header, right? He puts one, I think it comes off the top of the crossbar.
Yeah.
But in those instances, that's why I guess I was thinking like let Among take the second penalty. He's got two good opportunities, right? That probably should go in, but yeah, no, I don't think that anything comes out of this, because I think I think we previewed this game pretty much on point when we looked at the preview. If you
I think we did too.
when you go back and look at it, and we both said that this game is probably gonna be past Central. We obviously didn't get the goals right because we both said 1-0.
Right.
But that was a testament to our own accord. But retroactively, right? It might have been 1-0 if you take out those two trailing hands, right? You get a goal off a mistake, but without the two penalties, what is the win feel like? And I think if you are Dennis Sanchez, you're going into the locker room after the game saying, okay, cool, we stopped the losing, we stopped the bleeding, we're fine. We're still on the road, right? We got to go in and just kind of be ready for Oakland. I would assume we're staying in California, not coming back, get some training in, and be ready for
question.
I wonder if we are coming back.
I think they come back, honestly, because they do pressers every week. So the only times when they would stay out there is if they do two in the same week.
I guess that makes sense. Yeah, my thought was maybe you're staying. I guess if we were playing Wednesday instead of Saturday, you're probably staying. Yeah. But you got to go back out to California probably for another late one.
Right. You have Oakland, so you're looking at another one there for sure.
Right, and Oakland coming off kind of a rough one too. And so I think the positive news coming out of this is that we get Marlon Vargas back. And we get not that Shakes was bad, but definitely not the one, right? And so
this is a good time really to kind of evaluate just the groups. I mean, you're right. I mean, Shakes is good, but you can see the difference between, him and Tembeck. It's like, if we lost Tembeck for the season, we'd probably be in rough shape with Shapes, honestly, just because, I think that the team would rally around him, but I think the thing with him is you have to worry about when he tries to go and do things like tonight in the first couple of minutes, like he clears the ball in front of like the net. Like, I don't even think he should have touched that, honestly. Like, I think that one should have probably went to Talon Maples, or they could have played it back to him or something, or just cleared it out. But the fact that he tried to just take a high kick to it, and then he basically puts it on a silver platter for Orange County. I was like, no, this ain't good, So, and just, I feel like I'd give him a 7. I feel like he's probably in that C range for like how I thought he did tonight.
Wow.
I mean, he has some quality saves, but again, if he weren't part of the reason why he was getting those saves, I would probably rate him a little higher personally.
Yeah, and Full Mop gave him a 6.8. So you're right there. So you're right on track. And I think a lot of it, even maybe that 0.8 was that shot that came off his face too. And so,
right. Oh yeah, we didn't even talk about that. Yo, that was like a shot to the chin. Like he literally it was like Tyson punch out right there because that ball hit him and he just like froze up stiff and just went down. I was like, oh shoot.
And it's funny because I definitely went and I was like, oh, well, it's a good thing that we signed a keeper on loan.
Right, because he was about to be going in. Well, and look, there was even some shithousery like later in the match, right? I mean, the player, there's a little bit of a scrum. We saw Brucey, Orange County player Scott is like, they're holding his jersey. They got everything's looking all tight and stuff like that. And the player before obviously puts the ball down, tees up, and basically kicks it into the side of, was that like Jabang?
I think it was Pandeka.
Okay, there you go, Pandeka. So
Pandeka got the yellow for it.
Or the people are calling it like kick to with intent to injure. So like some people thought it should have been a red just because he put it down and just immediately kicked it right away right into him. So, but that just led to a scrum, and it's like so that things get a little hot with Orange County. But I don't know. It's kind of silly. I was like, well, we don't really have nothing with you guys, So, when this thing chalks up, it's like 3-0. Okay, that's cool. I don't know, what were you kind of thinking from our preview standpoint? I thought we lost 2. If we win this match, are the past 2 losses forgiven? And then we're just thinking like we're gonna see Oakland put a win out, and then see San Antonio and put a win out. Like we just kind of look at it that way, because I mean, I still kind of left with a note on my pad tonight, which was the quality's still not there.
Yeah, I don't think quality's still there. And honestly, if we went into Oakland and kind of, and again, this is probably me being hypercritical. I'm a Pittsburgh fan, so hypercritical of our teams is warranted sometimes. Right. And so, when I feel the same way. Quality's not there, and I wouldn't be surprised if we go in and we draw against Oakland, and we kind of throw away the opportunity that we have to put a little bit of space in first place, right? And I think that the 3 points is important. The quality of the 3 points obviously isn't there, but the way that the 3 points keeps us afloat of what we're destined out to do, because we're still 9 games played, right? This is match day 11 for us, but 9 games played. We have a game in hand over San Antonio and El Paso,
right?
El Paso and Monterey, 2 games in hand over Monterey, who are 2, 3, 4 at 16 points apiece, right? And so you hold that 2-point lead a little bit with a game and 2 games in hand over the ones that are chasing you. So grabbing the 3 points is important, I think, and that's the thing that Dennis Sanchez needs to go on to and say, hey, we cut the 2-game win streak. I think to fans, maybe the 2-game lose streak isn't necessarily forgiven unless you go into Oakland and pick up the 3 points, and you go into San Antonio and pick up the 3 points. Then you can probably sit there and be like, the one meme where it says, I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. And it's the guy holding the umbrella. He's like, I'm not mad at you, I'll always love you, or whatever. He's holding the umbrella over the sports team. And he's the one in the soaking ring, fitting for the Orange County game. That was something that we didn't really bring up either. The slipping and sliding probably played a big role in the fact that Orange County was making a bunch of mistakes. So
watering the Orange Vineyards, right?
Yeah, it's that
Yeah,
type of season, I guess. I don't know.
right. I wanted to I looked over some of the stats too, some of the ones that, because I said we weren't really too content with trying to stat anyone down, but we had about 400 passes tonight. We usually have a high number of passes. It didn't seem like there was much indirect play tonight. I could be wrong, but I don't feel like we swung it around as much or that we put the ball in the air in the midfield like we had done the past couple of weeks. For the most part, it seemed like there was a point when the quality improved, when they were kind of doing little one-touch passes to each other, and it probably almost resembled some drill that they did in practice this last week, because they seemed like they made a lot of positive passes to each other. Maybe I'd say maybe it was like 5 to 7 passes. It didn't really amount to much more than just like, okay, hey, at least you guys are making quality passes right now, right? So,
Right.
I mean, like, I know as fans we kind of want we have a high expectation, right? And we do, because one, we love our team. Two, they were like top of the table last year, and we want that cup, right? We want to have that, and so when we're going through the season and we're like, hey, we're sitting top of the table, the quality of the way we play isn't top of the table, but somehow we're getting it done. And we have seen the team win 5 straight league matches this year, so winning 4 in a row later on won't seem like as much of a historical moment. But it just hasn't all come together, and I think that is where we still kind of are left to desire more. And I don't think we're playing any more Eastern sides this year, right? So I don't know if we have, like the way that
one more.
is it Lexington, right?
Yeah, I think so. We have Lexington later on.
Oh, and Rhode Island still, I think.
And Louisville.
Oh,
and Detroit.
Louisville.
And Hartford.
Okay. So we do have some, because you know what it is, Pat? It's like,
and Pittsburgh. we still have a ton of them.
Okay, well, hey, I spoke wrong. I stand corrected. But the thing, what the thing is like on the Western Conference, like you're like looking at the table and we're like sitting at the top of it, and you're like, hey, what quality sides can we play on the Western Conference and get a convincing win, so that we can state the case that, like, hey, New Mexico United's dominant, right? And with the way the table kind of currently looks, like you're like, okay, well, it's El Paso. We've already played all those matches, and we won one of the 2 regular season matches.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't really have like any other chance around them. Monterey, we've already played that match. San Antonio, it's coming up. FC Tulsa, it's also coming up, right? San Antonio is a quality side, but they're not necessarily in a quality place right now. And so therefore that win is like, well, you should win because you're sitting on top of them, right? Phoenix, obviously, we didn't do so well. Tulsa's coming up. I said Sacramento Republic, obviously, we got like slaughtered there. Las Vegas, we got that. Springs, we got that. Or we have that coming up, rather. Sorry. And then Oakland, Orange County, we had, and then Lexington. So, like, I don't know about you, Pat, but the Western Conference, maybe, I don't know if that's not really going to be the place where we're really trying to cut our teeth to try to make some points this year. I feel like it's still got to be probably against the Eastern Conference teams. I mean, is that how you're reading that? Like, or do you think we can still manage to state a case of dominance against teams like San Antonio? Because we've really almost played everyone. So
yeah, I think it's just going to come down to kind of where we are at that point of the season, in where we're at. We still have Detroit City FC. We still have Pittsburgh. We still have Louisville. We still have Hartford. So in some places, you're probably looking at it and going, okay, cool. I need to grab 3 points against Hartford. I need to grab 3 points against Orange County again. I need to grab the 3 points against Oakland. So tonight is one of those games where I'm looking at it saying, okay, you grab the 3 points, you got your multi-goal game. Those are things to look at the positive side and be happy about. The quality still needs to be there, but we get Phoenix Rising coming up in Jägermeister, not in league play. We get Colorado Switchbacks coming up in league play. Lexington is probably those 3 points in mid-June that you're probably going, all right, we need those 3 points. We still have Charleston, so we still have three of the top 4 on the eastern side to go through, and it's one of those ones of, do we have the quality to get through those consistent Eastern Conference games, right? Because that's one thing that we've always talked about is your 1 through 4 are going to be pretty much not the same, but for the most part about the same, right? You're going to have your Charleston, you're going to have your Louisville, you're probably going to have your Indy 11. Right now, Indy 11's the one that's looking really shaky. You're going to have your Detroit City FC that's been quality in the last couple of years, right? North Carolina sitting up there. Rhode Island made a Cinderella run last year. The only 2 on the Eastern Conference that are probably the ones that we're waiting to see if they're frauds or not is Loudoun, right?
Right.
Which I think they lost tonight. I don't think that makes them frauds, but he lost 2-1 to Miami.
Yeah.
I don't think that makes you frauds because of the quality of their games that they've won, right?
Right.
They lost a close one. They lost a close one to the Lights, whatever. But they beat North Carolina. They beat Rhode Island. They're picking up their points where they need to pick up their points, and so I think that team is probably an outlier that we're not playing this year, so that's good. But that 1-0 Miami game is looking good for us right now, as of right now, right?
Right.
And so I just kind of looking through some of those conference games, those interconference games. I don't think that's where we're gonna need to grab the points. I think definitely we're gonna have to bring our quality into that. That's hopefully in the towards that mid part of like late June, early July, where some of the games start to get mixed in with the Jägermeister Cup, where we're kind of looking at right now. But you think you brought it up, the 5-game win streak is what we need, or is what we've seen this team do before. There's a good opportunity for them to do it going into this one. You got Orange County, you get 3 points there. You go to Oakland, you can grab win number 2. I'll skip over the Jägermeister Cup for Phoenix just because that's not league play. But then you got to go to Colorado, who's been in poor fashion. The defending champs in poor fashion. That's win 3. You get bottom of the table Lexington. That's win 4. And then late June, you get hopefully in quality in multi-goal games. At least there's got to be at least 3 multi-goal games in the four leading up to San Antonio, right?
Right.
And then you go and you play San Antonio late June. That could be win 5. And theoretically, you could even get 6 in a row if you get that game from Colorado. We go back and play Colorado after San Antonio. It could be 6 in a row. But I think that 5-game win streak that we're kind of looking at, the multi-game win streak, tagging on those extra points as we go, this is your window. June to July is your window to do so, because you get to mid-June or mid-July where you get Charleston Battery. That might be a testament of what quality you have as a united team and what you've produced in the 6-7 games leading up to that. There's 2 Jägermeister games that are thrown into that mix, that schedule, right? So there's still a lot of games that are getting played. But as far as league play goes, up to July 12th, when you have do they come visit us? Is that game here? Charleston at home.
Let's see here.
Charleston is at home.
Yeah, Charleston's at home.
So you get, you're on probably a good little shake where you get a quality Eastern Conference team at home.
Yeah.
I think that's where the definition of this team is going to lie. Because if you can win those 4 or 5 games 6 games getting up into a quality Charleston team. You got to go back to back against San Antonio, or you have to go up against San Antonio again. So that might cause a little stick in the road, but
and the other thing I was going to say too is like, don't forget about the fact that we're playing around with a widened pitch. So when teams like Detroit City and Lou City come in, I wonder if the team still keeps the widened pitch because they play on that. So, I don't know if that's something that they're necessarily going to want to do with those teams. They probably going to want to make it more narrow. I do want to take a moment though and kind of just say thanks to those who are watching this on YouTube. Thank you for hanging out with us. If you want to, put any chats in the comment or put any comments in the chat, you're more than welcome to. If you got your own takes about where you think the team's at, you want any reactions to the game tonight, want to, come on and chat with us, let me know or let us know, and then we'll invite you to the stream. But other than that, Pat, as I guess we're kind of getting through all of what we have to say tonight on this game, and we're talking about obviously some of, I guess some of the what would we say, exterior things, like some of the. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to use a term here. What am I trying to say? It's beyond me. I think I'm thinking of like your peripheral, like the peripherals right now, right? Like so, we've talked kind of directly on the match. I think still leaving this, there's still certain questions I have in my mind that still have to be answered, and that is who's going to score the goals up front. What really is the best three in the middle for quality, for the quality movement that there is, and I do like the back line we have, but I'm still very curious about how the youth comes into the lineup a little bit. Tonight we did see Jay Sace come into the lineup. Shout out to Jay Sace for getting some minutes. I know this trip did have Jackson Dubois and, of course, Bodie Ford, on the trip too. So, maybe some of what we're missing could be found in the youth. Maybe that might be something that we put a question mark on, put on the whiteboard.
Yeah. And I think I brought that up during the preview was, well, if you're good enough, you're old enough, right? When are we going to see that kind of come into fruition a little bit?
Right. When does the philosophy start to come out?
Yeah. When do we start to see that kind of pop up? But I think our storylines that we brought up for the preview still hold weight going into the next one, right? And I think we might have just asked another question of when do we feel confidence come out of this back line that we know that normally exudes confidence, right? That with Talon Maples, with Kalen Wright, and with Tambakis or Shakes or whoever it may be, but probably more so with Tambakis, right? But when do we start to see them exude that confidence to kind of boost the quality of play, right? And so I think those storylines that we brought up, who's going to score the goals, when's the midfield going to stop giving the ball to the other team, and now where's the confidence coming back from our back line, and this should be your good stopping point, or your starting point. Sorry, your starting point of, okay, we won, we stopped the slide, we stopped the hemorrhaging, and we're on to the next one, right? And so the next one, obviously the ideal quality should be 3 points, and we're happy that we can maybe close out a road trip with 3 points, right? So
well, Pat, I feel like we've definitely sliced and diced this one a little bit. We've managed to come out of a tight squeeze, so to say. Right. So, Pat, I mean, obviously, next up for State of the United, and we got to give a shout out to Veronica. Obviously, she wasn't able to be on tonight's episode, namely because she dropped me off at home, and she'd probably be listening to it or something. But shout out to Veronica. Who normally produces these episodes, does the production. The live episodes, we just let these go into the live, but we'll be watching the match between Oakland and what was it, Indy 11? They played the other night just to kind of get a preview on them. Wednesday night, we'll be recording the preview for United and Oakland. So if you're listening to this, you got any questions that you want to toss our way or things that, that come to light for you, certainly send us questions. And we will certainly try to address those as well. Pat, is there anything else that we left out that you would like to mention?
No, I think that's it. I think we're good. I think we're just ready for Oakland next week. So,
right on. So, well, we thank y'all for joining us on this post-game edition live of the State of United. To our Patreon members who will later see this episode, thanks for watching it. Definitely your continued support helps us to create new content. To those who missed a live stream, but we'll catch it later on. Still leave us a comment, and we'll be back in a couple of days with a preview episode for the Orange County, or sorry, for the Oakland Roots match with United. Well, Pat, that's it. For Patrick Baca, and I'm Chris Walker. And of course, shout out to our producer, Veronica Zavala. This has been another episode of the State of United, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.